first should say I have a parochial interest because I live right on the park, and this not small playground. It's 3,720 feet of the playground itself, not excluding the area around it. So I don't know that that's small, but that'll be right out my door. So start off, I have a parochial interest on it. I'm probably the most knowledgeable about Wilmer Park or what goes on because I have a deck that, as do my neighbors, that faces in the park. And it is dramatically used and increasing, obviously, with the COVID situation for all members of the town who use it for biking, for skateboarding, for setting up badminton, for frisbee, for lacrosse, for football, for baseball, people walking their dogs, people just sort of walking. There are all sorts of things. It is well used. I would guess 200 to 300 people a day use Wilmer Park. And it is a playground. It just doesn't have playground equipment. But I understand the need to have playground equipment. And so I'd like to talk about the Ajax Park and refer to that. As I bike past there and I see the kids playing basketball and I see the kids on the equipment. There are, I guess, town buildings that may not be used that are next to it. There's a town parking lot that directly abuts it that is underused. So I don't know whether any consideration has been given to looking at that and whether that can be expanded and used. So I think one should look at that first. This plan does just immediately goes to what I consider a large playground. It's a playground for 85 kids. Interestingly, the elementary school here has 361 kids. So this is 24% of the kids in there would be represented by what is available to put in the park. Now, of course, one of the ideas is to attract people from other towns to come here and use the park, presumably on weekends, and then hopefully wander into the town and use the town. I understand that argument. I also, I don't like it in Wilmer Park. Wilmer Park, everything in the park is natural. It is a place where people can have solitude, people can walk, people can make noise and do things. It is something that has been kept by this town to be a little bit pristine as the only place around to really have that while people walk.
I will say that I am very much in support of creating a playscape experience for kids in the community here in town. And I very much believe that there are a lot of different perspectives that we can bring together to make something that works for all members of the community. And as Charles indicated, I will say that I am perhaps not a fan of the design elements chosen for the playscape equipment. I live about a block from the park on South Queen Street, so I'm a fairly close resident as well. And when I went to the Berliner website, as Charles indicated, there are some really beautiful, very natural designs that might feel a little less jarring and also really complement the wave sculpture that's in the park right now. So I would certainly encourage us to move forward, because I'd love to see some element of childhood play integrated into Wilmer Park.
The question I have is, I remember when Gino's Automotive was out there. I remember when the railroad tracks were all over downtown. I remember that park was overgrown. It was in bad shape, and the town restored it for the people of Chestertown. So I just want to show you, I have a picture here. I don't know if you can see this. Probably not too well, but this is a picture of the basketball court as it was back in the 80s, 70s, 80s, and 90s. I don't know if you can see that. Anyhow, back then all the railroad tracks were there and the area was in poor shape. So I am grateful that the town wants to consider putting the playground in Wilmer Park. In fact, that's where they originally wanted to put it. It's the obvious place because everyone uses that park, and that park is very, very large. In regards to Ajax, I am very involved in basketball. And when I heard that the court was leaving, it was very upsetting to me. I don't know how it happened at the meeting, but it just happened that they said the court was going to go. A lot of basketball people that I know around town, their parents played at that court in the 70s and the 80s and the 90s. And it has a lot of value to those folks. And I know that they would like to see the court restored. And I know that they would like to have some come back for some reunions to play on that court.
I have, this is obviously in my ward, and several constituents, including Mr. Lerner, reached out to me and have been very passionate about the park and the green spaces. I'm very moved by what they had to say because they live on the park. It's part of their home, and I understand that point of view. But I will say that creating the playground in this area and then subsequent enhancements to Ajax, elevates the whole town.